Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Phish Phry podcast. I'm your podcast host, Bobby.
And I'm Oliver.
And today we are talking about the 1993 album by Phish called Rift. Now, we both had a chance to listen to Rift over these past 2 weeks in some degree. Have you listened to it several times?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. What's your overall thought of Rift? Overall.
It's a creative album.
It is creative, I agree. So, here's the thing about that I learned this week, or these past 2 weeks, about Rift. Rift is what's called a concept album. Do you know what that means?
Like a dream?
Well, this is about basically falling asleep and dreaming about the rift between
His
girlfriend and boyfriend. Yeah. And so the whole album is kind of that idea. So our concept album is basically an album written around an idea or a scenario. So this whole thing is written from the viewpoint of someone falling asleep and being asleep in their dreams and things like that. So I think this album is probably one of the more creative undertakings they've done to come at it from that perspective. I think there's so many tracks on here that they still play today.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. And there's a lot of them are like super fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I like just about all of them. So the first track is Rift, which I think is pretty cool because of the, it's got the train vocal effects. It's got that.
They put all the effects on.
And it's kind of got the bluegrass feel to it.
Like the waves whenever they put the effect.
Uh-huh. And then Fast Enough for You. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's...
it really shows, like, the concept in the album.
Yeah, and it's, it's very singable. It kind of has a little more country music type vibe to it.
Yeah, and it's, like, slow.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't... Like, because usually they play, like, tongue twisters.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, wait, how did they go from tongue twisters to slow?
Yeah. And
it's
just straightforward lyrics.
Yeah.
It's easy to sing. Lengthwise is probably...
Funny one.
Yeah, it would be a funny one. Someone snoring and you hear them... And then John Fishman singing. I like it. It's a nice little break in there.
It shows that.
But then the way it leads into Maze with like the clock sound, like the clock kind of ticking, and then it goes into the drum part for Maze. Mm-hmm. Maze is still one of my all-time favorites. I feel like I heard it pretty early on in some mixes, and so it's kind of always been a favorite for me. Sparkle is just fun.
It's just like I don't know, like it's really shows them.
Yep, laughing, fall apart. Mm-hmm. It's fun. Horn is
that's another fun one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Like it reminds you kind of school, like whenever you wake up and like in the bus you just hear like horn. So you're like you gotta get ready and stuff. It's like listen for my horn.
Yep, I'll pick you up at 8 as usual. Just listen for my horn. My top pick for this album is The Wedge.
Oh, yeah.
I really like it a lot. I think it shows some of their musical prowess, and I don't know, it just really, really caught me these past 2 weeks listening to it. My Friend.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Like, you cannot tell me that's not a good song.
Yeah, I like all the gang vocals and background vocals they have at the end.
Yeah, and the, creativity, and the rhymes, my friend. It kind of reminds me of...
My friend has got a knife.
Dr. Seuss kind of.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mine is, mine are, down to the wire.
Okay.
The first one is, my friend.
Okay.
And then the second one is The Maze.
Yeah.
But since I have to pick one, I'd probably have to go with The Maze.
Oh, okay.
It's like a tough choice, though.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good choice. So, My Friend, and Way, which I think Way is just kind of a fun, funny song. But they're more dark. My friend, he's got a knife.
Yeah.
And how much I want to cut your head off and weigh it. I want to get all your razors and pick out all the prickly hairs and weigh them. Like, it's just kind of a dark, kind of creepy songs. All Things Reconsidered, that's just the instrumental, which is fun. You wouldn't know this because you're young, but there's a show called All Things Considered on National Public Radio on NPR, and he kind of plays off that idea for All Things Reconsidered.
Sometimes, like, Lawn Boy, and how, like, those dark songs, like, the way, usually, it kind of reminds me that those should be on that one, because Lawn Boy, it's kind of like a Halloween-ish, or Ghost, I meant.
Oh, yeah. Sure, I get that.
Because it's, like, dark.
I see your thought there. Mound. Not a big fan of Mound.
Yeah.
It's Ice. I think
it's decent. I'm not really a fan of it.
I like It's Ice, but it's to me it's back to the tongue twisters. It's back to the lots of words in it, which I really like. Then back to Lengthwise. Then you have The Horse, which is good, and then Silent in the Morning.
Yeah. A few days ago, I heard somebody playing it, and so I was like, "Who's playing this?" And apparently, it was my iPad.
Just playing it all on its own, huh?
Yeah. I was just listening to Rift, and at first I was listening to Lengthwise, and then it just cut on The Horse, and at first I thought it was you, and then I just go in the living room, and then I see my iPad turned on, and it says The Horse Rift.
Well, it must have wanted to play The Horse. It wanted to hear The Horse, so it was like, I'll play it myself.
Don't mind me, just doing my business.
Just playing some Phish. And then Silent in the Morning, which I think it's a beautiful song.
Yeah. Reminds me, I don't know, like springtime.
Yeah.
Usually, like, I don't know, it's just giving me spring feelings.
Yeah, I think, I get what you're saying. And to say it another way, I think, to me, it sounds hopeful.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of, the way it starts out and just the way Mike's playing the bass and just the whole instrumentation of it, to me, it sounds hopeful. So, like, the album ends, in my interpretation of it, on this, like, hopeful sound that maybe they're going to get back together. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not the riff's not too big. Or maybe, the singer, whether it's Trey or whoever, the person that's falling asleep and dreaming, maybe they're just hopeful about their life going forward. So it could be one of two ways.
It's a good way to end off the album.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's... would you give this album to one of your friends for them to listen to?
Yes.
You would?
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be a good one to listen to. I think you can listen to it without knowing the concept album part as just songs.
Yeah.
But when you kind of see the overarching concept of it, you follow that thread through the album, and I think it's an interesting take on it. But I didn't know that until these past 2 weeks, that it's a concept album. So, your pick...
The Maze.
And my pick, The Wedge. So, we got a maze and a wedge here. So, I think that's pretty much all we got for these two, right? Or for this one?
Yep.
So, in 2 weeks, we'll be back here, and we'll be talking about Hoist. Now, this is, from what I understand, this is like one of Phish's big kind of breakout albums.
Like, wasn't it the, like, first one in the studio, or?
No. All these have been in the studio, but this is like one of their first ones that kind of like a lot of people started listening to.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So
I knew it was famous for something.
Yep.
Whenever you played the Wolfsman Brother on there, I really liked it and started like digging into Hoist.
Yeah. Well, save it. We'll talk about it in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, thanks for joining us. Also, subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Follow us on social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Phish Phry Pod, and that is PHISHPHRYPOD. And so we try to have fun on there, but stay in touch with us there. And
come and surrender with the flow with us.